I knew it was the right thing to do. I've been working on it for 2 years. I anticipated August maybe being a little bit more bumpy for me, some angry parents reaching out.
Have there been?
Honestly, no.
Not a single parent?
2 emails across the whole state of Oklahoma.
That was State Senator Allie Seifert last semester when they rolled out a new cell phone ban in schools, and she joins us now as Senator. You're looking to make the effort that you started last year permanent going forward. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be back. You know,
good
it's
to have
always
you here.
nice to be invited back.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, of course. I mean, you have had, I think, this was your bill last year. You had to do it for 1 year, though, this cell phone school ban. And I think overall, I hear a lot of support. We could talk about some of the complaints about it. But is it still as positive as it was when we last talked?
It still is. It's had its staying power.
Educators really like it, I've noticed.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, educators like it. Parents like it. They're saying, you know, my student has more friends this year. They're engaged in other, you know, extracurriculars. I think the students liked it. Some sooner than others, but they're on board now.
Okay. Are they following it? And I asked this, and I'm curious, have you followed up to say, like, hey, schools, how strict are we being with this? And I only asked because I was talking about this with a friend of mine. She has a daughter in high school, and she pulled up her phone. She was like, well, she texted me 4 different times yesterday while she was at school. And so I'm like, how strict are they being?
I think it really depends on the district, which is how I wrote it. So my hope, obviously, is that superintendents and school boards would be pretty strict with it. I don't want teachers to be the ones having to enforce it, but we did offer them that flexibility and that ability to implement it how they saw fit based on their district. But I don't have to reach out to the superintendents or districts because their teachers email me and say they are enforcing it properly or not. And so then I'll have those conversations on the side. But by and large, it's been so successful, and I think schools are bought in.
Okay, interesting. And about the complaints that you do hear, and I say this because when I speak to the educators, I don't hear complaints. They really do like the fact that, first of all, that there's a law, so that they don't have to be the bad guys. They can point to the law and say, guys, we're following the law here. It's not just our policy. This is state law. But I go to the comment sections then after I post videos about this, and there seems to be, maybe it's a vocal minority, but there's all sorts of pushback from some parents saying this is schools trying to protect themselves from kids having video of any wrongdoing happen. Have you heard that?
I have made it a practice not to go into the comment section on social media. I don't think that really is very productive. So that would be my advice for you, Evan. But no, I haven't heard that from people. If they feel that strongly, I think they should contact their senator or representative and not just make a comment on Facebook.
Well, one of the concerns I think that has always been there, though, is about security and what happens if there's an emergency in school. That you've definitely heard about. And how do you respond to those concerns? Because those concerns are still out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why we wrote it, to really include parents and to allow the districts to respond to their concerns. And so there is an exemption for emergencies. You know, there's one school district that's in the middle of Oklahoma that said, hey, what if there's severe weather? What if there's a tornado? And so we allow things like that so that you can still communicate. But I mean, that is just very, very few responses on that.
So how is this moving forward this year? Because obviously it was a 1 year, as I mentioned, ban on this, but now you're looking to make it permanent. When does this go to committee, and how will that happen?
Well, we don't know yet.
Okay.
So I think I was on the show last year, and for the first time I had an educator ask me to extend it. And since then I've had many educators and many districts ask me to extend it. And so there are 3 options. I have, of course, filed my own bill just to make sure you know, it can go through committee and go over to the House side. But there are leftover bills from last year, 2 of which are a House bill. And so I'm talking with Representative Chad Caldwell, who has been with me from the beginning on this. And I think there would be a nice symmetry to letting the extension be a House bill, since the original bill was a Senate bill, just because he has been such a great partner to work with. It's his last year too, so we might do a House bill.
The House Caldwell bill, would that be very similar to the one that you put forward?
Yes, yeah, we'd change it and just extend it. Regardless, the language would be very similar. So.
Okay, all right, interesting. What else are you focusing on? You're the vice chair of the Education Committee there in the State Senate, and so what are some of the big priorities? We've talked a lot on this show, and I'll start off with this, about the literacy piece. And you know, we've had the state superintendent, we've had the chairman, of course, of your committee here as well, Senator Pugh. There seems to be a lot of momentum towards making a larger investment into literacy, but that also costs money.
Sure.
How are your colleagues feeling about taking that step?
You know, we just had our first Senate Education Committee today, and so some of the bills that we heard are bills that are dual assigned, which means they'll go through education policy and then appropriations. And so it will be a very strict year on that. It's going to be a tight budget year, but I do think that everyone has accepted we will make some investment as it relates to literacy.
Some investment?
Yes.
How big of an investment do you think needs to happen in that, what you personally would like to see? I know you're a team player with all this, but
Yes.
I mean, like, how much do you think is needed here?
Oh, you're going to make me say a number? I haven't seen the numbers yet, but we're talking millions for sure.
Right.
You know, Mississippi spent, I think, $100 million.
They spent a lot of money.
Yes, they spent a lot of money, and so we won't be talking about $100 million, but we might be talking somewhere in the ballpark of 10, 20. Again, it's not my bill, so I don't know the exact numbers, but we're ready to make significant investments.
Well, then let me just ask. Mississippi spent $100 million, or whatever it was, right? But it was a lot. They got results. Took about a decade, a little bit more than that. So why not say it worked there? Let's replicate it here.
We absolutely can. I think we're doing that in some ways. You know, we can learn what, you know, Mississippi did that maybe they would have changed or they thought was very successful. They had some philanthropic support there as well.
Yeah,
so it wasn't just the state stepping up.
They had corporation. They had corporate help as well.
Yes, they
did.
Yes, they did. And so I think it will be a very significant investment. But we want to do it the Oklahoma way too. And they committed for several years to this, and so we're talking about it this year. Of course, we've made changes to the Strong Readers Act my first year, I believe, so 3 years ago, and so we'll continue to do that.
The parental choice tax credit that was actually went through some debate this past week in the House, and so they're looking to expand that. I know that there's a Senate bill. There's obviously Representative Caldwell's bill there in the House as well. How do you feel about this? Or do you think this has been a success that you'd like to see it continue?
Oh, absolutely. So I am a strong school choice proponent. It's in my DNA. It's something that I ran on, and I am so supportive of. I went to a private school. I think it shaped me. I was also homeschooled, and I went to public school. So I want every school in the state of Oklahoma to be thriving, so that parents have the best choice, that they can make the best decision. And I'm really, really proud of the work that we've done with the parental choice tax credit, or PCTC, as we call it inside the Capitol. And so we'll be talking about how we can maybe expand that to more families. You know, costs are going up for public schools. We talk about it a lot. You know, most of my conversations are in public schools, and I have loved getting to dive in, and I have great relationships, but those costs are also going up for private schools as well.
They are.
And so that'll be a topic. I don't know all of the bills yet. You know, we like to file a lot of bills, and there are about 3,000 bills, and so they'll sort of sift their way through, and we'll see. But I do think that will be a conversation that we'll be having.
Because, and you mentioned it's a tight year with the budget, and so with that PCTC, the tax credit, that does, just the way it's written, it does take, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars potentially away from the general fund. So, and the big pushback I've heard, particularly from Democrats, is that, listen, especially when we're giving these tax credits to wealthy Oklahomans, because there is no cap on income, there are millionaires who are getting these tax credits. Does that give you any pause at all, or do you think that it should be available to truly any income earner?
I push back on the idea that it's only going to wealthy. You know, you can make.
I'm not saying only.
Well, I have seen my Democratic colleagues share some interesting things in the media, and so I think if you're making $100,000, you've got 2 and 3 kids. That's a tight budget, and but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility for an Oklahoman who's paying their taxes for their entire life, for the 12 years that their students in K through 12th grade, to direct some of their funds to the school that best fits their students. So.
So what I'm hearing, it's a fairness issue as well for you when it comes. It makes sense as somebody who's
it's always made sense to me.
Okay.
But again, I recognize that I've had a different experience. I was homeschooled, like I said, in public school and private school, and so to me, it's what's best for the student and where can they thrive, and what does a parent believe is best for them. And then when that student graduates private school, guess what? They're going to keep paying taxes for our public schools.
So these are some of the things that everybody's been talking about, what we talked about. What's something on the education side that people are not talking about as much that you have your eye on this year?
Oh, I love that question. Okay, so two things. So we're talking so much about literacy. I don't want to be sitting here, hopefully in 8 years, hopefully I'll have been reelected, and we're behind in numeracy again. So some other states have been focusing on increasing their math scores. 17% of 8th graders in Oklahoma are proficient in math, and so that's a number that's not acceptable for me, and so we'll be continuing to work on that. So my goal is that when everyone's talking about literacy and talking about increasing,
we're talking about math
I'm
as
like,
well.
let's also do math at the same time.
I spent a large period of time this week helping my daughter with her math homework. So I understand some of those concerns. You said two things. You had something else
Yes,
you got
the other
going on?
one that I love is increasing recess time for our K through 5th grade. So state minimum is 20 minutes for a school day. I think that's not enough for their little bodies. They need to get outside and play. And so states around us have either 30-minute minimum or 40-minute minimum. And so I'd like to double it to 2 20-minute recess times. So free play is really, really important. You learn leadership skills. You can't tell me they don't learn conflict resolution on the playground either, too. So it's very important for their social development, but also it helps give their little brains a break.
Well, I know I loved recess when I was a kid, and my kids love recess right now. So yeah, we'll be watching that one very closely, because I know there's some bipartisan talk about that one.
There
as well.
are other people who have been working on this, and so I want to give a shout out to my colleague Brenda Stanley. She's from this area. She's been working on it as well. I think Senator Pugh has a bill as well, and so I'm hopeful that we can get it across the finish line. So much about politics is about timing, and I think we're realizing that reducing screens and moving your body more is beneficial for our students, and I think now's the time.
Well, I appreciate you, obviously, your focus on all these issues, and also I appreciate your time here.
Thank you.
So much,
Thanks
Senator.
for having
Appreciate
me.
that. Senator Ali Seifert.